Frank Sepe for Muscle and Fitness. I am here for the National Military Fitness and Wellness Month, our third interview of the month. I'm here with Senior Military Editor Robert Wilkins, and he will introduce our fantastic guest today. Really excited about this.
Thanks, Frank. Hello, everybody. As Frank said, this is our third interview for this important month, but this month also recognizes all veterans and their families. So this is a DoD initiative that we've decided to go parallel on, where we can also call attention to those who serve, but the importance of physical fitness and nutrition and exercise to those who serve. And it's my great honor and privilege to have our longtime friend, Chef Andre Rush, U.S. Army, with us. As most of you know, from TMZ to ABC, Fox News to Budweiser and Disney, Chef Rush is all over the place. So I remember when we first saw that big picture of that amazing picture of him at the White House with those gigantic arms, we thought, who is this guy? And having the ability to be with him at the Olympia, at events for children, visiting our troops at Arlington Cemetery with him, he has a huge following, but he has a bigger heart where he makes sure that those who come to see him, he spends time with all of them. Doesn't matter how old, how young, whatever they are. If they came to spend some time with Chef Rush, he makes sure they leave that place feeling special. So, Chef, thank you for joining Frank and I. And actually, where are you right now? I thought you were just in Korea.
Actually, Korea's next. Well, actually, it's Tennessee to Korea. I just left Rhode Island via San Antonio via Indiana. So, and all military base, all, doing so many different things. And Rob and Frank, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a long road. I love everyone here that is doing something to give back. And that's what it's all about. And, we've always talked about that. You never forget where you came from, and that's the foundation. Humility, grateful, gratitude, and not being complacent. All those things are important. But, with me, it's like each and every person I talk to, they are mean, right? So I have to remember that, you never get too big.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking about big, put your arm up a bit. You have to have 24 inches to have that watch fit your wrist. That's like a kitchen clock around. That is, you gotta have 24s to have that.
That used to be around Flavor Flav's neck. Now it's on Chef Rush's arm.
We were just talking before we were recording about, going to the Olympia this year, which is going to be it's already sold out. It's going to be incredible. And how many people look at you and you look like a competitor. Obviously you can't build a physique like that without proper nutrition. And obviously, who better than yourself to cook for, to get that type of physique? I was just curious, what do you eat and what do you prepare for yourself to kind of maintain that physique?
It's funny because, as life goes on, and Rob mentioned it earlier, my demographics change. I'm on the road all the time. Literally, I've put on over 600,000 miles in the last year. Wow. Alone in air. And that's one airline. And and that's going one day here, go on the road, one day, just like I did in the last, I've been in 10 different states in the last, I think 13 days. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry, 14 days. And it's hard. So I'm actually doing a cookbook right now. I have a book that's out, Call Me Chef, damn it. But my cookbook's coming out. It's going to be for the fitness industry. Fitness, when I say fitness, meaning everyday people, fitness from high levels to low levels, to people who don't understand, from food prepping to people who have strenuous lifestyle. I just had an offer from CDL came to me, and I was like, why are you coming to me and they want me to do something for them? So the commercial driver license, all their truckers are being sick, heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes, because all they do is drive and eat. They don't walk around in trucks. They don't do anything. They're getting overweight. And I didn't think about it. I say it's perfect. I didn't think about that because we kind of take it for granted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And with me, I'm an endurance trainer, and I've always been that way. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I eat a lot, as much as I possibly can, but sometimes my body goes into that point to where I can't eat clean all the time because it's just not a realistic lifestyle for me. Just because I have to be on the go, on the road. I just got through filming Rob was there 3 months straight, and I had to eat what everybody else ate, right? Because it was just bam, bam, bam. My body was like, okay, what are you doing to me? we're gonna have to change up something. So when your body talks to you all the time, the thing with people is they just need to listen. They want to listen to everybody else tell them about their body when their body's actually talking to them themselves. My body talks to me all the time and tells me what I need to do and how I need to change it up. When it's like taking off your clothes and looking in the mirror. You're like, are you satisfied? Are you happy? Regardless of the fact you should be. When I say should be, meaning that even if it's not ideal what you want, you have that foundation. You need to build from that. Every time you look, and when somebody comes and I see Rob, I'm like, oh my God, I see you, Frank, with the arms, vascularity, and I give you a compliment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it's true. I compliment everyone. Rob knows that because people work for that. And no matter how hard or how minute you work for it, you don't judge yourself off of someone else. You judge yourself off of yourself, right? You're your biggest and greatest worth on that part of it.
Absolutely.
So when I go out and I do my eating, and I can eat up everything. Rob knows this. I'll eat up everything. Everything in the house sometimes. But then sometimes it'll be times where I have to go 12 hours and do the fasting. It's not on purpose. It's just my lifestyle. My body has to say, okay, we understand that. It has to adapt to it because things don't go all the way as planned. So for me, right now, I eat when I can eat. I work out when I can work out. I still do my push-ups except for Saturday and Sunday, and I do a lot of them. And that's when I see everybody like at Olympia. Every chance I get to tell somebody to drop and do push-ups, that's me wanting to work out. It's not me just want to make them push. That's my excuse to work out.
Do you,
Right.
Go ahead, Rob.
So, Chef, from your humble beginnings, can you basically kind of give us a walkthrough? Like, where did you start? How did you start? I know that you didn't join the Army as Chef Rush. So where did this whole Chef Rush image come from? And basically, why did you join the Army?
I came from the project. Very, very poor. I'm not gonna lie to you. I talk about it a lot, and I'm proud of that. I mean, when I say proud of that, I mean that a lot of people like, I don't want to tell what happened to me. I wore my shoes for 3 years straight. I did this, I did that. My dad, I had to go work with my dad when I was a very young age. I didn't have a normal lifestyle like a lot of kids have. I didn't have the proms. I didn't go to homecomings. I didn't do all this. I worked. I did that. That was my mindset. That was my mentality. And at one point in time, as a kid, I didn't like it. I hated it, actually. And then a little bit later, I understood that this is my family. This is me spending time with my mom, my dad. This is something that other kids will never ever be able to do. This is things that are growing with me. When I went into the military, my family's been a family of my sister's a colonel who retired in the Air Force, go Air Force.
Yeah, you said your sister was in the best service. I heard you.
Never. But my brother was also an officer in the Navy. My other sister did education. Another sister did education. So my whole family was kind of like a family of servitude, of service. When I say servitude, giving back, and I wanted to follow that track. I had a football scholarship, track scholarship, art scholarship, but I wanted to do something better, something that I want to do for myself. And unfortunately, back then, my dad's mindset was boys go to work, girls go to school. That was Mississippi. That was way back in the day. And from that, I went to the military, and so much happened. I got put in a leadership position right away. And the best thing about that was in Mississippi, it was black and white. Now I'm in every color in the rainbow. Every color, every religion, everything. And it's like, bam, right in my face. And I had to be a chameleon, the same way I still am to this day. When they put me in charge right then and there, the best part about it was what my dad taught me and how my mom taught me. It was like, treat everybody the same, equally. Understand, listen to them. Don't be judgmental. Never judge a person. You never know what they've been through, what they're going through, and how they are, because they're going to judge you. And I know they are. But at the same time, you have to change their demographics and their mindset and their perspective of you and what you want to do and what they want to do and how they see it. Everybody wants to go with the person with the suit and tie, never the person with the sweats. I always have sweats on. I do that on purpose because I need to know who wants to be around me and who doesn't. If you want to go to that person that has that suit and tie on, stay there. I don't need you over here in my corner. I don't want you over here in my corner because you just judge me for no reason whatsoever. So it's a hard one.
It's amazing, from the projects to the White House. If you think about that, right? Like, did you ever think that you would be like, the president of the United States and in the White House. I mean, that's got to be so far removed from your thought process, right? Like, that's just incredible to me. I mean,
I'll
that's
be honest with you. I never thought I'd be alive. You know, you know, I never thought about it. Actually, the person who made me think about it the first time was Rob, uh, Honorable Rob. He said this to me, and it hit me, and I never thought about it because my job in life, as my job is right now, is to go into a place and do the very best you can do. You don't look like today we have a world of social media and whatnot. I didn't take pictures. I didn't care what nobody looked like, who a person was. I was never a fanboy. I would get people of high stature asking to take pictures with me because I was different. Then I would ask for them. They're like, "You need a picture?" No, I'm okay. Right? It wasn't me being arrogant or anything like that. It was just never my cup of tea. And so, like I said again earlier, when I went in my first place, even going to the White House the very first day, my job was to go in there because I didn't look left or right. I didn't give no oohs, no ahs. I went there to work. I didn't care about anything else because in my mind, somebody wanted me to fail. Now, mind you, I'm a black man. I was still big back then. And I was very I wasn't articulate as I am now. So I was very raw and rough, right? And that's a whole different. And you know how people say, I'm not changing for anybody. It's true. Don't change for anybody. Change for yourself because change is necessary. I had to learn all those different things of being, from a larva to a butterfly, to being a chameleon, to being a gecko, to being everything you possibly be. And I still do that because just like I was talking about with the Disney show, I love kids. Parents and kids, they go hand in hand. That's what I do. I have a huge demographic of kids, and I love that about my profile and about my following because it's kids. Food, fitness, health, nutrition, military, mental health, wellness, all these different things, even from the Budweiser commercial to helping vets, Cancer Society, all these people come to me for these main reasons because my profile is not just a tunnel vision. It's branched out to all these different levels. And of course, one of the main levels, part of that is fitness, health and fitness. This is a lifestyle, Mr. Olympia. I mean, I thrive it. I love it. I feed off of it. That's why I talk to each and every last person that comes to us. We'll be there for hours, just talking and talking and talking and move one foot.
People who don't know you, your story is impossible to duplicate, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's. It's in that category, like coming from a foreign country and becoming a professional bodybuilder, part of the Kennedy family. It's unmatched. It's such a unique story. But while you're in the Army, how did you get involved in cooking? Like, how did you make the transition? You were an athlete, now you're in charge of, in the Army, and now all of a sudden you get into cooking. How did you get into?
I'll be honest with you. Cooking was a hobby of mine.
Oh, okay.
Cooking was a hobby of mine. I mean, I cooked with my mom. I cooked my mom undercover when I was growing up because my dad said boys can't cook and they shouldn't cook, right? My older brother, he used to cook a little bit, do barbecues and stuff like that, but dad was like, no, you're working. You don't cook. The ladies cook, the women cook, the men go to work. And that was just an old, that's an old soul.
Was. Yep.
That was back in the day. But you know what? I had the best feeling in the world when I cooked with my mother. I remember that. I thrived off of it. I tell people that when you eat from the heart. It's like this book that I'm doing now is respecting food how it should be. Medicine, holistic, education, loving, family, togetherness, friendship, all these different things. I tell people all the time, food can end wars and food can start wars. And it actually has in history. People don't know that. I mean, you know how they say that the Army marches off their stomach? They live off their stomach, Rob. Not the Air Force, the Army does. Well, but still, seriously, food is morale if you ever think about it. We think about eating, we eat for health, we eat for the benefits, we eat to get bigger. We're like, I gotta do all these different things and how we gotta do it. It has to be tasteless. I'm a tasteful person, so I have to make all those things that the monotony of that stigma go away because when you taste mine, it's gonna be just as healthy, just as good, and it's gonna change on that part of it. So when I started, it was just by fluke. In the military, when I switched over, someone saw me, and I think he saw me because of my physique and just my demeanor of not saying anything to anyone. And he looked at me, and he was a sergeant major, and I was a private. And he's like, I want that private on the team. And I was like, what team? What I got to do? Who I got to kill? What is going on? I'm all for a team. You said the word. And he brought me to this building with culinary guys. And I'm like, what the H is this? What is going on? And you know what happened? It changed my world. I fell in love with it. I didn't know what culinary was, and it was my first time. I knew what cooking was, of just cooking with my mother and soul food and comfort food, but this was something totally different. And then when I saw it, I just took off. I wanted everything. That was before Google and the internet. So I bought all these books that I possibly can off my little bitty paycheck. I mean, I learned everything from being a master ice carver to some, to wines, to pastries, to chocolatiers, to sugar, pulling sugar. I want to do everything, and I did everything. And then I went to the Olympics and I competed all over the world, from the Expogas over in Alaska, competing 16,000 blocks of ice to pedophores as small as a pin. So yeah, I kind of fell in love with it, but I never let people take pictures of me because I would tell them I hurt because it was just a funny sight to see.
No one would tell you if the food was bad either. They'd be like, no, it's great. It's great. I love it. I love it.
So, chef, after doing all that and getting all this specialized training, now you become not just a chef, but a recognized chef who has won many awards and medals. So how do you get from that portion of your service career to the White House? Because for all of us who have served in the military, that's just not a natural or natural career progression path. So something had to make you get noticed by the people who can hire you at the White House. So how did that all come about?
So, it's true what they say. It's not about what you know, it's who you know. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anybody. So let me start off saying that I was a very different person in the military going through my younger age. I was I was different. I was very raw. I came up in a different way. I was in the field all the time. I was doing different things. And it just got into my head a lot. So when I got the opportunity to come over to DC, they wanted me to go over to the Pentagon. It was the chairman of Joint Chief of Staff. They wanted me to come over to try out. I had no idea about any of this. Remember, and it's funny because Rob, what about 90% of the people in the military have no idea about these things, right?
That's right. They're special duties.
Yeah, no one knows. I didn't know anything. They said, come over, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do I need to do something special? Wink, wink. What do I need to do? I had already been asked to do special forces a couple times, and by name request, and it was one of those things I wanted to do, but I was so caught up in doing my other stuff. But I know if I did do that stuff, I'm gonna get lost. And Rob knows when I say you get lost completely. And I wasn't ready to get lost because I had so much to do, and I had a family, with my mom, and I'm also a mama's boy and all that stuff. But long story short was, I went and tried out at the Pentagon, and what happened was I went there 4 days. I trained my butt off. I did everything you could possibly do. They had 3 other competitors trying out for that same position, and they were there for 30 days. I was only there for 3 days, and I just worked my butt off, right? I left, getting back on the airplane, wet, just deflated, and it was just like, wow, that was different. That was crazy. It was a lot of posh. It was just a very different world. Once I got back to infantry at Fort Campbell, I just a few weeks passed by, nothing happened. And then I got a phone call, and it was one of the guys said, hey, pack your bags, you're coming here. And when I got ready to come there, my commander said, that's enough of that cook shit. Nope, you're not going anywhere. You're staying right here. We're doing this. And then the colonel said, Specialist Rush is going there. You're going to send him there right now. It was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It was really crazy. When I got to the Pentagon, no one liked me. When I say they didn't like me, meaning that I wasn't. Rob,
my assumption is you were an outsider. You did not.
I was an outsider. I was an outsider.
So who are you, and where did you come from?
They were like, who's this guy? He's not in this world. This is not his world. He doesn't belong here. And I found out that's what they said because they didn't want to hire me because it wasn't my world. I didn't kiss butt. I wasn't, that guy who did things in particular, and I didn't try to show off. I didn't try to do any of those things. My job was just to work. My job was to make you look good, not me. Well, me making me look good, make you look good. That was my job. And one day after this senior guy that was in charge who wouldn't show me anything, and I just said, hey, that's fine. We had an event for royalty, and what happened was he had did this cake that he had did like a million times. He'd done it for the queen, he's done it for everyone. Amazing chef. And the one day he did it, he got ready to cut it, and it fell apart. Oof. And when I said, it has never happened, he went into shock. I mean, this is how good this guy was.
That night.
Well, he went into shock, and everybody was waiting there. Literally, food is a big thing in these categories. In the White House, these food is huge. Like
these are world decision makers eating your food.
You better have my cake.
Exactly. If it's sour, if it has too much salt, it will affect a decision. Seriously. Oh, so he froze up, and the person in charge was really mad. And he looked at me. The guy couldn't respond. He looked at me. He called me Arm and Hammer. He said, Arm and Hammer, I'm a kid. Can you fix this? Without hesitation, I said yes. So I knew the cake that he did took about 2 days to do. Right? He had to freeze it, had to do all these things to it. He didn't show it to me, but I told him, I looked over his shoulder, seen him doing it over and over again. So I learned it by visual, seeing. Went down to the mezzanine, bought some cakes, some frozen cakes, got it because they have enough time to make them from scratch. I ran back up some praline, ganache, all these different things. I'm making it. I'm just going a million miles an hour, not even thinking about anything. I'm like, do you need anything, chef? I'm like, no, just let me just do what I'm doing. Finally, it was literally like 15 minutes before, put it into the blast freezer, came out, cut it, it was perfect. And then that's when the guy, my boss, who never said anything to me, came over to me. He said, great job, chef. And he said, I'm going to take you somewhere Monday. This was Friday. I'm going to take you somewhere Monday. And I had him a clearance already. He said, I want to take you somewhere. He said, I'm going to get you the door. You got to do the rest. He brought me over. It was there. It was at the door, knocked in, came in, took my shoes off, relaxed a little bit. But the irony of the story was they got rid of him. And when they got rid of him, I said, do you want me to leave also? I'm a loyal person. I don't care about anything else. He said, no, this is where you belong. But at the same time, the same guy who got me in was the same guy who didn't want to hire me because probably like 6 months later, I had known that he didn't want me there. We went to the Olympics over in Germany and Luxembourg, and he told me that he didn't want me there. And I told him I knew. And he said, Chef, I was just scared. You were new, you were different. You came in with these muscles, you came in with this, and I was just afraid to lose basically his throne. And I'm like, Chef, your throne is me. I'm your throne. I'm here to make you look good. I don't care about accolades. I'm care about the mission, the job at hand. And that was, and to this very day, we're still the greatest of friends. But, that was my lesson learned when I say that every time and everywhere you go somewhere, there's always going to be someone who wants you to fail. No matter how great you are, how good you think you are, what you're doing, you always have to be cognitive of your surroundings and the people that you hang yourself with, because it's true about that part of it. It's like the old saying, you are what you eat. You also are who you hang around, because energy is going to feed energy. You see me, I'm tied to Rob all the time at Olympia. I'm like stuck to him because that's great energy. We feed each other on that part of it. It's needed, it's warranted. And when we do it, it feeds everybody else that's going around in our circle, which is absolutely massive.
Plus, he needs a photographer, and I do it without charging him because really, one of the great things for our audience, if you've seen the chef, it doesn't matter who you are. It's just really refreshing with our country from time to time in this turmoil where it's this group against that group. When you're at the Olympia, it's all inclusive. Everybody's there because we're interested in fitness. We're interested in bodybuilding. But what I really enjoy is there are kids who are so small who might be a little bit afraid of the chef, but somehow he brings it down to their level. He gets on his knee. He brings them in. He gives them a coin. And at the end of it, the bashfulness becomes this big, bright smile. And sometimes they give him a hug or a high five. And the parent, sometimes their eyes look like they're about to cry, or, they're weepy because they felt like, what a great experience for my child. We all want our children to meet people that you look up to, or you've looked up to, and you hope they're kind when you get a chance to meet them. When that person exceeds the expectations, is more than just kind, or it follows up and says, I'll text you, I'll email you. That's just great hope. Chef has not talked about what he does for people with PTSD and how so many people reach out to them or him, maybe when they're thinking about ending their life, veterans who die by suicide. He's one of the sources of inspiration or hope that they go to without him sharing that story. So that was one of the things I wanted to make sure we brought him on today, to let him know that we do know what you're doing. We appreciate what you're doing. And I'm sure the families of those that you've helped really appreciate what you're doing.
No, I appreciate what you're doing. That means a lot. And it's that's near and dear to me. And even on my social media, and Rob knows this because it's taxing. And I have my people, from my managers and lawyers, and like, Chef, you can't do that. You can't fit all this energy talking to all these. And I talk to every person that reaches out to me on social media, and all 6 of them, from LinkedIn to Instagram to both my Facebooks to Snapchat to all these different places. I talk to everyone. I vet them. I see if they have something cognitive, was suicidal ideation, mental illness, sexual trafficking, abuse, people, just especially kids. I had a thing that went on Snapchat, and I had 28,000 kids come over to my Instagram and started following me just because they saw a video that they didn't know about. And it was all about mental wellness. And it was the youngest kids that came over and said, thank you. And then their parents came over and said, thank you. And that's why it's so important to me, because the responsibility is, we're all role models. Everybody at the Olympia, if you're on that stage, if you're doing anything, you're looking at people, you're not looking at other grown people. Everyone is looking at you. Everyone is saying, I want to be just like him. I want to do. And I always tell people, they say, Chef, I say, no, be better than me. I'm a template. You start where I left off, because I'm gonna give you everything I have. I want you to start and be a better version of me, and to make that other person another better version of you, and keep going along with it, because we don't have a lot of them now. The kids today, it's hard for them, especially in that wellness part of it, because this world is a little crazy. And with bullies, and my campaigns with anti-bullying and social bullying and all those different things, and we've all had. I've even been bullied on social media. It's part of life, as long as it's not in person, I'm okay with that. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me whatsoever. I thrive over it because it just happens, and I let people know about it. Is that it doesn't bother me. I'm glad it happened. It doesn't bother me. It just makes me stronger. It makes me grow a little bit more. So it makes me learn and be acknowledged about my surroundings and who and how people can twist things for their own benefits. So that's life.
I just saw a TikTok video. It was actually a kid, and he goes, did you see the White House chef? And then the picture pops to you with your arms. He goes, did you see the arms on the chef? It has a couple of million views. You don't know who's watching you. You'd never think you'd end up on that platform, right? Where there's kids, like, millions of kids are watching you, and it's amazing that you're, a role model for them. I'm just curious, like, how has nutrition evolved from back when you were in the military to it is now, to it is currently? And do you give talks at bases and stuff like that to inspire and to educate?
Oh, you know what? Nutrition is, and Rob knows this, being on the council, nutrition is that lifeline. I mean, it is 100% not only a lifeline for you, but also a mental wellness. I mean, that whole part of it, I was telling Rob, they just made me the face of the military for the new food service program they're going to be having. So it's a whole campaign to start this whole healthy new lifestyle with cooking for the military. But in general, fitness and nutrition has come hand in hand, and people need to understand that, because I think they kind of take the word for granted, right? Meaning that when you say nutrition, they don't understand. exactly what is nutrition. And you think about food, but what is food and broken down to nutrition and how it should be used, whether it be for energy, whether it be for life, whether it be longevity, medical benefits, all those different things for it, and not just supplementation. When they say nutrition, oh, I take my supplements, but what about the things that you need to take even more so? What about those natural things that you can have on that part of it? Now, we have so many alibis, and of course, along with strategic marketing, I can sell you moon rocks and you'll pay for them because they're still in the moon.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to be smarter than others, but for nutrition, and I'll speak on with Rob is that, I love what he does because it's all about that nutrition, healthy lifestyle, that mindset, and moving forward. But along with that it is in its entirety, that wellness. So nutrition to me is that whole wellness, that whole being for it, when you are what you eat, in and how you do it, along with proper exercise and also mental stimulation. All those things go hand in hand to make a perfect person. But you got to have the mental first before you can have anything. You got to get your mind right before you even start stuff. Because other people say, I'm gonna try to start it. I started for 2 days and I stopped. That's that mental part of it. And you know what? You have brain foods out there. You have stimulations. You have people like you guys that's on here that's talking to you about it, and you understand it, and it's organically, and knowing what you can do and how you can do with it.
And that's one of the reasons why we have these interviews, because right now in our country, there are about 31.8 million men and women between 17 and 24. Out of that, 23% can serve. Out of that 23%, only about 2% want to serve. So if we are having problems manning our military, and the number one reason is because of obesity, lack of physical activity. Now, obesity and of course nutrition go hand in hand. So what are we doing wrong so that our young people are finding themselves in this state of being out of shape? If they can't join the military, more than likely they will not be able to join the firefighters, first responders, police force, and then eventually it will get to our corporate 500 companies, to where they're spending so much in healthcare that it just doesn't make sense. So what we're trying to do is to say, we know there's an issue. Here are many different resources, from muscleandfitness.com to Chef Rush and his books, to Frank Sepe and all the different things he's doing, and other sources to say it is a problem. Check out what works for you. Maybe physical activities for you is you're walking, you're gardening, you're dancing. For Chef Rush and I and Frank, maybe we're going to a gym. But whatever it is, we're trying to move at least 150 minutes, at least a week. And obesity is one of the major issues our country's having that are negative right now. So how do we find ways to make that issue, increase awareness, but find solutions? Because talking is cheap. Now we need to be the helper, to be someone that moves our country forward. And again, Chef, that's why we really appreciate all the work you're doing, increasing awareness and having people even get on your back, like Rachel Ray, while you do push-ups, calling attention to the importance of physical fitness and nutrition. But tell us about some of these talk shows you've also been on, and some of the things that probably the reactions you get when you walk out and that studio audience sees you live in person.
I'll be very honest with you. I'm humble because a lot of people don't know I'm a speaker as well. I'm actually here. I'm speaking tomorrow, but I've been overly blessed to go and speak in so many different platforms. From TMZ to Inside Edition, Rachel Ray,
Fox News, ABC, NBC.
NBC, yeah, all these different.
I'm your press. Muscleandfitness.com. Let's go.
I really, honestly, I can't keep up. I've gotten the Key to the City. I've gotten, and they're all in boxes. I get them and I put them right on my dresser, and they're just in a drawer in boxes. I haven't even looked at them because I got so much work to do. I'm like, did that, done that. People think I'm an overworker. They're like, oh my God, you don't sleep, you don't do this, I do this. It's like, because I can do it right now, I can still do that, because tomorrow I may not be able to, because it's not promised to. You said something earlier, Frank. You said where you use your guys to highlight muscle and fitness, highlight the Olympia and do those things. Now imagine if you got everybody together, all these influencers who can just stop for a second and just have a calendar for out of 1 week or out of the month or day, pick a day, and you highlight something of importance, whether it be cancer, whether it be physical fitness, whether it be obesity, whether it be mental health, whether it be being together, something, just saying it takes one moment without any monetary gain. I get that part about it, but just stop for a second and just do it organically. And that's the thing about me, where people like, it's all about money. I get that whole part about it, but it's all about us helping each other and going along with it. When I go on all these shows, I get the caveat and I get to say what I want to say. And I talk about the military, I talk about fitness, I talk about nutrition, I talk about all these things, and I go along with it. And I also talk about my struggles, which is important. I'm very transparent about it because it didn't just happen, Robin. I've had the worst and the worst, and I have PTSD. And I'm very open about that. I have it, I live with it, and this is what it looks like. Last time I cried was 2 days ago, but it's a release for me. It's like, okay, I got it out. Let's keep going now. Is done. It doesn't mean it's sad. It can be sad, happy. And even if it is sad, it's my part of me dealing with it. Getting here, talking to people. When they say, thank you, Chef Rush, and I say, thank you back, I honestly mean it because they're part of my therapy. It's part of my coping. It's part of me being who I am organically. And a lot of people do it. And we've all seen it. It's just going here and there. Everybody wants to be exclusive, where you can't touch them. You can't really feel them. Like, oh, he said hi to me, or she said hi to me. It's like, don't give a
You're fired. Yeah, you're fired.
I'll say bye. Keep on going. Stop for a second.
You know what I think that one of the biggest issues is our parents, and we were talking about this a couple of days ago. There's this, kids want to work out, and their parents, some of the parents who've never worked out before, why do you want to waste your time building those big muscles? Why do you want a big muscle? You're so narcissistic. They don't know the mental aspects of what happens when you train. And not everybody is going to be, a Mr. Olympia competitor, but that stops them from moving and doing any other physical activity, because they almost feel like, they haven't done it. So why do you want to do it? They give them the false information. These kids are like, well, I'm just going to follow what my parents do. I'm going to eat what they eat. I'm going to do what they do. And, I don't want to be as big. How many people have come up to you like, I want to work out, but I don't want to have as big as arms as you? And you're like, don't worry about it. It's never going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be built, but I want to look like you. Okay, great. But I think that's the problem. The education to the parents to relay a positive, message to their kids. I think that's a big issue.
And it's a little bit different for us who serve or who have served, because it's national readiness and, national security. We need a healthy, fit force, but it's also imagery. When you look at somebody like Chef Rush in that uniform, or, when you go to 8th and I, the Marine Corps barracks, when you see these young men and women in their uniform, you're like, whoever our adversary is, you better be careful what you do, because look at those fierce warriors. The goal of the military is to fight. That's what we do. We're here to protect this nation. We're willing to, many men and women have given their lives for this nation, but first and foremost, our bodies are our weapons. It's the first thing you have. So when you see someone in uniform, to me, that projects safety, security, national defense. I don't think about being vain with that or competition. I think of, all right, whoever our adversary might be, before you start pushing that hornet's nest, look at what you have to go against. These are the best men and women in our country, and look how good they look at, ready to fight for freedom.
Look, Spider-Man, Superman, Iron Man, everybody's built.
Exactly.
Every superhero is built.
Or Captain America.
Captain America. Even the Flash. I mean, he's not as big, but he's fast, he's ripped.
Right. But these are all things that we just don't see it as in building bodies for sports. We see it as warrior athletes, that our goal is to protect this nation, and those who protect this nation have to be fit to fight. So the military is spending billions of dollars on physical fitness centers and nutrition and exercise physiologists and therapists and all these folks who become together as a team, or having folks like Chef Rush go out and speaking at different bases to the chefs, to the cooks, to the people, to the military members themselves about the importance of what they're putting into their body, because that's the fuel to keep them moving forward.
I love that. And I'll go back to what you said, Frank, about the parents. I deal with that a lot. I'm in that parent space. And I just told you I did Disney's show was specifically because of that, because it breaks up that monotony of it. They look at you, like I said, everybody's a role model. Just like what side of that role model you want to be. Do you want to be on that negative side or that positive side? If you want to be the villain role model, or you want to be the hero role model. So it's those two faces of that part of it. And you think about that, because everybody does go like, I don't want to be like you, but I want to get big. I'm like, it's a knowledge base. Like, it's not just going to happen overnight. You're not just going to blow up. You got to start eating right. Don't just start trying to take a million pills and putting everything into your body. Just start where you're going to start at naturally, and just do it and let your body just grow into yourself, and that's what they need to understand. And also with the parents, the way I do it is that reverse part of it. I get the parents to do it to encourage the kids to do it, right? That's what I go after, because the kids are going to follow lead. They're going to follow suit right with those parents. And so I go for those parents and say, hey, you need to get your butt up and get out of here. I just did that last night at an event in Rhode Island. I went right for the parents, and they were like, oh, I used to love. I was like, stop saying used to. How old are you? I'm older than you. Stop, be quiet. There's no excuses. They're like, okay, chef, you're right. You're right. There's no excuses. All right, get down. Let's drop right now, every time. And they do.
And if you only can do 5 push-ups, that's all you can do. But next week, maybe you can do 6. And if you just keep at it, you stay disciplined, that you'll probably start making you will make progress, and your child will see that. But before we forget, let's talk a little bit about your book, Chef. So how do you go from not even being accepted into the career field as a chef to writing a book that was, I think you had 5 categories. You were the top seller for Amazon. I mean, This is just amazing. Or Barnes and Noble, they didn't even expect you to be there. You're there walking around looking for your own book. And they're like, wait a minute, you're Chef Rush. Here's a table. Could you sign these books? And now the people who were paid to be there are looking at you like, wait a minute, how is this happening? So can you tell us a little bit about your book and the impact of your book, and what's next for your second book?
Oh, that's a humbling. That was actually on Saks and Fifth Avenue at the
Yes, I remember you told me.
And that's very humbling. They know that, and they put it in the front window of the store, and they had all those categories. And I'll be honest with you, the book I'm doing now is my cookbook. This was my memoir, and it was a story that I didn't tell people what they wanted to hear. I told them what they need to hear. I talk about all my transparencies and all my life, all my hardships. As a matter of fact, the audiobook Friday, last week, just went #1 again on Audibles for resiliency, mental wellness, all those different things. And I did the book myself, the audiobook myself, which was really, really hard, but it was so worth it, because I get so many praises from everyone that says, I read your book, but your audiobook I love, because it's you and you're telling a story, and every part about it hits on someone. It's like, that was me. That's happened to me. I talk about all the struggles, and I talk about success, but I talk about the struggles before the success. And when I talk about the success of it, is the success that goes along with responsibility of keeping that success to give to other people and letting it roll along with that, right? It's not about, oh, I did this and I built this big empire and look how much money I have and all this. No, it's about, man, this was hard, but here I am now, and I'm still thriving, and I want everybody to do exactly what they want to do, how they want to do it, and just grow the exact same way, and even bigger and much more so. It is coming out now with HarperCollins, and it's going to be a whole wellness cookbook, and it's going to have stories on it, from simple things on the food prepping and meal prepping side, a lot of hacks, a lot of things that people don't expect, how I eat on a daily basis, with some foods, but just realistic stuff that take you through everyday lifestyle. It's going to be a different type of cookbook, and I make sure that, but because I'm also going to do something else, a little special inside of it that I can't tell, because somebody's going to copy it right away.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm excited about this one as well. And it kind of goes aside, even with my TV show is coming out Super Bowl weekend, when Fox announces it. It's going to be, it's generated towards a military mindset, and it has a motive towards it. When I started to do this, when Gordon Ramsay came to me years ago, I wanted to have something where I wanted to be able to lead, inspire, and have a little bit of whimsical inside of it, to do something that'll make people say, wow, that was different. Wow, I didn't expect that, and I think we hit the mark on that. I think so, right, Rob? A little bit?
Yeah, because since I'm in one of those episodes, I think you're going to have a hit TV show, and I just want my residual checks to keep rolling in.
That's the one we put the link to, right, Rob?
But Chef, with saying all that, so you go back to your humble beginnings. So how does Mississippi or your town, have they recognized you? Have they brought you back home to say, we're so proud of you, Chef. Like you were able to take this little bitty, or this little humble town, and you went to the big world. You've gone to Belgium and been recognized by the king. You've been recognized by President Obama. You've been recognized by all these organizations, but you're from here and you come back home.
So, what's funny about that is, I had the Peace Medal, King of Belgium. I've done that. So I went recently to Mississippi and I did a book signing and I donated all of the profits to the new 899 number and also to the kids. And the mayor came out and he gave me the key.
The mayor of your local, from where you're from?
Yep, in Mississippi. Right. Gave me the key to the city. And we did it at the American Legion and it was packed tight. And so I'm saying this because in the book, I was, again, very transparent. When I grew up in Mississippi, it was black and white. There was racism. There was just the stigmas and all this. There was a lot of people trying to divide. My mother would never have us divide. My father would never have us divide. My father made us strong. My mother made us loving. And we put those things together. And you have to be strategic. We led people. I follow, but at the same time I lead. And if Rob gets tired, I'm gonna lead. If he wants to get in front again, I'm gonna follow him at the same time. There's no egos with that part of it. We can be ambidextrous with that part, but at the same time, when I went to Mississippi and I did this, and everybody read my book because it's like very raw, very hard, very deep. And in the crowd was about 90% white. And they all kids dressed up in suits, little girls, little boys, they all came out and said, "You're a hero." And he did all these different things. And it was so appreciative to hear in this little town of Mississippi where X amount of years ago, it was very stigmatized, where it was like, it had that footprint of being that semi, like, had that racial division part. And whenever I saw everybody coming together as one, that was one of the most proudest moments for me. I'm not gonna lie, but even more than getting the key to the city was seeing the people that was in the crowd and how they were there. And even some of the people who were in the book came there that was over 90 plus years old, came to see me and, wait for me. And that lets me know what I'm doing is what I need to do. That's God's work in that part.
And that shows progress in our country because this past weekend we spent some time with some Tuskegee Airmen, or one Tuskegee Airman, James Stewart, and he talked about how while the world still has many difficulties, it's the individual relationships and the individual interactions by each person that makes it better. So by what you did, by coming back home, you allowed those who wanted to recognize and celebrate you that opportunity, but it also gives the town a chance to move forward, to progress, and to think that it's not about race, it's about a quality of the person and a person doing good things for their community, but it's also doing great things for our nation. So that's a testament to your mom and to your dad and to all those in your family and your circle of friends and people who have helped raise you, because I see it firsthand. I see it when we've gone to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I see it when we're at the National Press Club and Arnold Schwarzenegger stops the entire seminar that he's doing to recognize and call you out for all the good things that you're doing. And as I said to you, Arnold almost is like your dad because he's always so proud of you. He always makes sure that wherever we're at and he sees you, he's going to stop what he's talking about and share with the crowd the great things that Chef Rush is doing. He's just an amazing man. He's been a great role model to you. And
Yes.
You're developing this great reputation within and with out of the military as well, not just the military, because you're just doing great things. So we really wanted to thank you, and thank you for making the time, because we know that your schedule is insane actually right now. So on behalf of Frank and Muscle and Fitness and Dan Solomon, Jake Woods, thank you.
We'd be amiss to we have to ask, who do you think is going to win the Olympia?
That's right.
Don't give me a spot like
you want to give us Chef Rush's top 5?
You know what? I've been looking at everybody's top 5. I've heard everybody talk about their top 5. You know what? I'm just excited to be there. Olympia is going to be insane this year. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, what Dan and Jake and all of the team did, even in Florida when it wasn't supposed to happen, was absolutely mind blowing. That was a year you didn't get to come, Rob. I mean, it was just out of control.
That stage was crazy.
Oh my! I got chill bumps. I was like, "What the? How? When? Where? How? What happened?" And now that they're back in Vegas, right there on mainstream, and like you said, it's sold out already. It's nothing. It's gonna be.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You know what's interesting, like talking to you, and that you obviously have a passion for what you do. And we were going back to books and book companies. And I remember when I did my first book and I went to the Barnes and Nobles and I'm like, who are these people here for? They're like, you. And I'm like, really? And I was supposed to be there for a half hour, but I started answering questions. I was there for 2.5 hours. And I know you're the type of guy, and they have the bougie type people coming in and like, all right, I gotta go, and I gotta leave. You know, what'd you write in your book? I don't know, whatever they wrote. I know that you're shutting the place down and answering every single person and giving them, you know, because that's the type of guy. That's the kind of vibe that I get from you. You know, like you're passionate about what you do.
I appreciate you saying that, and
Yeah.
Robin, I do that. I was at the ALA, the American Library Association here in DC at the conference, and they gave me an hour, and I guess they knew who I was because the line was wrapped all the way around, around the thing. And I don't just put my name. I don't just say, you know, Chef Rush. I say, while I'm talking, who are you, what you do, and I make it personalized to each one. They're like, wow, I didn't expect that. We just expect your name. You know, it's like you're going a little bit more beyond. Like I say, you give them talk and you just energy, and they just all come and flock to you, and they just tell people about you, and that just spreads more energy. So thank you. I'm glad you told me about that.
Yeah.
That's
What's
amazing.
the biggest compliment somebody paid you? Like, I'm just curious what
The
really
biggest
resonated
compliment?
with you. Yeah, that resonated with you. That, like, you know, to me, it was a kid who came up to, well, go ahead, tell yours. I don't want to give you.
I want to hear you. I want to hear yours first, actually.
No, he's just, I remember doing a seminar for a kid. He was probably about 12 years old. And he's like, am I too young to train? I said, no, absolutely not. You can train, start doing body weight exercises, do this, kind of kept in touch with them. You know, now he's 20 years old. He's in phenomenal shape, like he's in great shape, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know, you changed my life by helping me out. Like that, you changed my life. Like that, you can't get a better compliment. So many people would come to me like, oh, you know, I was diabetic, but you gave me these tools. You changed my life. Like those three words, just 4 words. You changed my life. Like, you know, really resonated with me more than anything.
So I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. I've had a few people that I've talked down, from, you know, talked down completely. I've had a few people say, Chef, you saved my life. I've had kids, you know, for bullying and all this. But one was something that was never said to me. Not physically said to me. I told Rob about this story. I went and spoke at a kid's school, and I had no idea what it was and who they were. They were just a bunch of kids, and I was going there, and I came up and went to the principal's office, and they're looking at me like, Chef, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to speak. They're like, oh, you're the speaker. I'm like, yeah. I go in, and they say, well, hey, you gotta understand these kids are non-verbal. They're they don't anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go into this room. Long story short was no one could talk. They couldn't do anything. And it was this young girl. They keep them at the school to the ages of 21. So this young female, she was she could only move her eyes, and she was paralyzed from all the way down. She's turning 21, so she has to leave. And she hadn't spoken in years, right? She couldn't speak. But what happened was, after I was done, I went over and I took a picture with her, and all of a sudden I hear this voice says, what's your name? My name is Amy. What's your name? My name is Amy. And it said, do you have a girlfriend? And I'm like, what is this? And all of a sudden I'm looking around, and the teachers are tearing up, they're crying. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, my name is Amy. My birthday is this. So she can speak with her eyes, and she hadn't spoken. Right. Wow. They said she stopped speaking completely. So when I came there and I spoke and I took a picture with her, she just started rambling off, and then she started giving out her phone number. That was the biggest compliment
That's
for
amazing.
just to see her in that space. And it actually was very emotional for me, and I gave her a hug, and I couldn't even fathom being in that situation. I don't know her story, but just because of that situation and not being able to speak, not being able to move, not being able to do anything. And they said she hadn't spoken in years, with the machine, it just automatically just know what to do. But yeah, that was it.
That's incredible. Wow. You can't, yeah. What did you say? You said you have a girlfriend. Did you say? Yeah.
I didn't say I was stunned.
Yeah. Could have said no.
Yes, no, you're my girlfriend now.
All right. Do we have to go, Rob?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
he's got some things to do, but
Sure.
again, Chef, thank you so much for this opportunity. I know that you probably will get some more requests from this because, you're always fielding requests, but I think the more thank you is that you've taken this opportunity, this platform, not to just focus on yourself, but to call attention to our veterans who die by suicide, to the young kids who are bullied, to people who need encouragement to maybe improve their nutrition and to think about exercising or being physically active. So these are all things that make our nation better. The better we make our citizens, the better our country will be. And you're contributing to the betterment of society, and especially here in America, where I once traveled with Trent Lott, and he said, we're so blessed to be born in this country because everything is possible. You're born in certain countries and you just can't do what you've been able to do. But because we're born in America with luck, hard work, determination, discipline, and just never saying no, or I can't do something, that I can do something, you're making a big success that is setting the template and the model for others to follow. So thank you for that. And for me, it's really cool because we're friends, and to see you getting bigger and bigger and now being in trailers for Disney and campaigns for Budweiser and working with the American Heart Association. Those are all things that we talked about in 2018 or 19, and here they come.
I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate everything you're doing. Rob, of course, you're amazing. Frank, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I have something for you. I won't show it to you right now. Just it comes with push-ups.
Oh. You know what? I'll do as many as I can. And
I'll take that.
Be careful, Frank. Be careful. You said it.
I got 5 weeks to start training, right?
Hey, I'll tell you this.
Go.
So we were the chef and I, we were at the Marine Corps Museum, and these 20, 22, 23-year-olds, they're in awesome shape. They really are in really great condition, but they want to challenge him. And so at first he acts like, he doesn't act like it's a big deal, but then he goes down and they're doing push-ups, but then he starts making it like take a minute or a minute and a half to go down. So it's pause and pause and pause. And then you start seeing them shaking and shaking, and then they just hit the ground. And then he gets up and he's nice and polite to them. But, those who think that because of his, he's a little bit older than them, they're still not ready to do the same kind of push-ups he does. So be careful what you say there, Frank, because I need you as a host. So I don't want you to hurt yourself.
I'm just going to say it's been an absolute honor. There you
go.
Retreat.
The body's amazing. You treat the body right, your body treats you right. I mean, people are like, you can't do those many push-ups. You're too heavy for it. I'm like, tell my body that. Tell my mind that. It's all about mindset, baby. I'm looking at it. I can't wait for Olympia. I can't wait to see you guys again. I'm excited.
It's an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you taking.
Chef, before we sign off, where can we find you? Because maybe we're one of that 500,000 who are still looking to find you. So where are you at?
Right now, or in life, or in social?
Social media. Yes.
I don't know where I'm at in life, but in social media, I have no idea. I woke up like, where am I? A real Chef Rush on social media, also Twitter, chefrush.com, just Chef Rush everything, Chef Andre Rush, Chef, you'll find me, say hi, and I'll make sure to bug you.
Check out that book, Homie Chef, damn it, right?
Homie Chef, damn it, most definitely.
All right.
Thanks, Chef. We'll be in touch. Oh, and this isn't one and done, Chef. So we'll have you back on at another time, talking about another topic, and maybe we'll end up doing something together, the three of us at the Olympia. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Most definitely. Pleasure,
All right,
pleasure, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. All right.